Hey guys, it's Justin again with another Gundam review. This time it's going to be the 1:144 scale Wing Gundam. It was the Wing Zero Custom, but if you go by the box, it is the Wing Gundam Zero EW version. This is basically the Wing Zero from the movie Endless Waltz, so I guess hence the EW in the title. This is the customized version, like I just said, from the movie. It's basically the Wing Zero EW version. The forearms are different. There's no shield. The guns are different, and it has actual wings instead of the cool Katoki style wings that the Verka has, which I'm actually more partial to myself. I know a lot of people aren't crazy about it, but whatever. This is a kit brought to you by the Animatropolis. If you saw the unboxing, you already know that. If you didn't, now you do. And I've got to say, I wasn't really too excited when this got announced, mostly because it was the custom version versus the EW or the Verka version. But you know, that said, it is actually a really nice build. All the pieces come together pretty cleanly. I didn't have any issues with anything fitting. I snapped it together in, I think, 8 hours. I was at work, so I probably could have done it a little quicker if I wasn't. But again, everything went together really smoothly, really nicely. It was a fun build, and I don't know, I just enjoyed it a lot. Color separation is pretty good. It leaves a little to be desired in my opinion. I still miss the 3 shades of gray, but for this it looks pretty good. Since it's a more simplistic and more streamlined kind of design, there's not too many panel lines going on or anything like that, so it works out well for this. I think a third color would make this a little bit busy. But you know, things like the GP01 and other things like that could have used that third shade. But anyway, the sculpt itself is really nice. The added details are really good. I think the proportions are really well done. The added details and color separation, like I said, look really nice. The panel lines around the legs and the arms, shoulders, and all that stuff look really good. The head looks really nice. I'm a huge fan of the head. And the way that it assembles is pretty good. If I had to gripe about anything on the head, it's that the mohawk just kind of plugs in. But once I paint this guy, that will go away. The wings are really sturdy. The connection is solid. The arms are a little weird, but they do allow a pretty nice range of motion. And all gimmicks are actually in place on this. You can actually open the cockpit hatch, and there's no hero figure that sits inside, but I think I might try and make my own. We'll see how that goes later on, but you do get the standing figure like you do with all other RG kits. And that's pretty much it as far as aesthetics are concerned. I also like the added wing details. You can't really see them. There you go. You can kind of see they're kind of like overlaid on top of each other. It's really cool looking. Now, we're going to get on articulation. The head is on the standard ball joint, and then there's like a hinge here, so you can kind of, I don't want to say chicken neck, but you can kind of maneuver it a little bit. It can rotate 360 if you're careful, but you know what, you're never going to point the head backwards, so it doesn't really matter. These shoulder Vulcans do pop open. You don't have to pick them up and move them or pull them out and slide them or anything like that. They just pop open and slide closed. These shoulders are on a weird kind of hinge joint where they can pop out and do one of these numbers. That is for the like the closed mode or whatever. But you can kind of just plug them in and lock them into place, and they pop right back on, and they look good. Arms go up that high. They rotate full 360 under the shoulder. You do get a full 360 rotation at the shoulder, but the wings are going to stop you from, you know, achieving a full 360. So you'll get as much as you need out of it. The arms get a really nice double bend, not quite 180, but pretty close. You get the wrist rotation is on a ball joint, and these are the open emotive hands, so they don't have the joint inside that the standard RG hands do, but they work just as nice. Doesn't really matter. The waist can wiggle and flex. You get a pretty nice front bend, pretty nice back bend. Side to side's pretty good. Skirts are all articulate, front and back. So looks good from all angles. Now if you flip this up, your front leg will go all the way forward. If you flip this up, as much as you can flip it up, it'll go back as far as the back skirts will allow. You get a really nice double bend, and this is where we encounter the only real issue I have with this kit. The armor split looks good, looks great, but your knee armor kind of flops around and does its own thing, and when you close it back up, it'll either get stuck like that, or it will close up how it's supposed to, but it'll stick out. There's not a second joint in here to lock that in place, so it'll sometimes it'll fold and sit up like that, sometimes it sits out like that, but you usually have to kind of push it back down into place. But you know, only major gripe with this kit is the knees are kind of weird. But again, you get the ankles move up and down, and that actually I didn't realize had an armor split as well. So that's really cool. So if you point the toes down, you actually get a sliding armor piece for the shin. That's pretty cool. The toes are probably the most articulate RG toe I've seen to date. You get a really, really, really flexible toe on this. I don't know what advantage or disadvantage that's going to serve, but it's a very visible bend as opposed to the other RG kits, like for example the RX-78 here. You can tell that it's bent, but it's not as, you know, you can't really tell on the up and the down. This one, it's very apparent both ways. Now, on the backpack, you've got an arm that moves like this. You get basically 180 degrees of motion. You've got a joint here that allows, not a 360, there's a peg that stops it, but you get a really, really, really nice range of motion out of that. Then you get another 180 out of this arm, and then you get a full 360 out of this arm. So this allows all kinds of really silly, crazy, possible, impossible, impractical movements out of this thing. The back wings are on a full 360 thing right here. You can finagle it around a little bit. The other one's going to get in the way, so don't count on getting a full 360 out of it. But then you've got an arm here. You've got this little arm for your beam sabers, and then there's a hinge up here. Now, the wings also have separate articulation for themselves. This piece can open and close. This piece can open and close. Every single wing is articulated on its own. These are all ball joints. And then my favorite is probably this wing right here. You can slide it up, and you can actually pull this out. If you look carefully, the other wing will slide down. See, it kind of slides out, and that looks really cool. So you can kind of open that up and stick that up, and it looks really nice. You know, kind of Sinanju style, if you will, where it's like full open and, you know, going crazy fast and stuff. But the wings are really nice. I didn't think I was going to like them, and I was pleasantly surprised. You know, all these pieces work really well together and look really good. The details are all there. I actually had one other issue with the kit, but I surprisingly enough managed to fix it just before I started recording the review, and that was the backpack would slide off, and that was an error on my part, so I'm going to point that out to you guys so that you guys don't think that, you know, your kit's busted or that I missed something in the review. There's a peg that it slides into, the backpack like plugs into, and it doesn't really look that evident unless you look at it really carefully, but there's like a plug, and you have to kind of press down on the bottom while holding the top in, and it'll click in place, and that holds the backpack on really securely. So you can, you know, stand this guy up with his wings full out, and he'll stand up. I mean, you gotta lean him a little bit, but you know, he stands with his wings out. So I'm pretty sure I can get him to angle forward a little bit, not make it look too silly, and get him to keep standing. Maybe not. Nope. There we go. So, doesn't look too bad. I'm sure if I bent his arms, it'd look better. Anyway, enough playing with him. Accessories. Now, the wings themselves are kind of an accessory all on their own. You do get beam saber handles, and kind of to my disappointment, the beam saber handles are only the ones with the pegs in the hand, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with those. I just don't like the look of the peg. So if you're gonna like display it, but at least they give you a slot to kind of plug it into while it's being displayed on the back. You get the Twin Buster Rifle, which is pretty iconic from the movie and the series alike, and it's actually got some really neat detail and gimmicks to it. The handles can actually slide up and down. They've got pegs on them as well, and you actually get two sets of handles. Both sets of handles are the exact same, so you're going to have to use a peg either way. But if you lose a handle while you're building it, or you want to cut the peg off, I don't know why you'd want to do that, but you have the option, I guess. But you can flip both handles up on both things. I've got the fist attached to this one just because I like to, I displayed it in the double mode. But to assemble these, you can combine them into like a hyper mega rifle or whatever. If you look now, you can see that they don't actually fit together. And that's because there's this little piece here. It's like a hidden plug. And it's also like a hidden detail, but you can flip this down, and you can do the same on the other side. And then these two pieces will fit together here and here. Excuse me. And then you kind of sandwich these two together, and they'll plug into each other, and that gives you 3 connection points where the Buster Rifle is attached, and it's nice and secure. There's like no chance at all of this thing coming apart on its own. Then I flip the other handle up, and with the trigger finger in place, he's ready to rock. So we'll plug that in a second. You get 2 clear, like mint green beams. These actually look really good too. I could see like spraying maybe like a little bit of like a glitter effect over this, and it might make it look a little cooler. Maybe not. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with them. You get, as I've mentioned before, the standard RG hands are always included. You get the 2 emotive hands. You get the 2 fist hands that are included on the frame. And then you get 2 trigger fingers. Not really a fan of the trigger fingers. They're way less detailed than all the other hands that are included. But these are specially made for the for the Wing Zero Custom. They have the trigger finger so that you can use them for the gun, and they're actually rounded out a little bit for the beam sabers, and they have the peg for both the beam saber and the gun. Now the hands just pop on and off. They're just ball joints, super easy to use, super easy to do. But see if I can slide that back on. See, look, now things are starting to fall apart on me and make me look bad. But wow, what did I do? That whole thing just came apart. I believe I was warned about this. It's like deja vu or something. There we go. But you can just plug the arm or the gun right into there, and he holds it pretty good. Not too many issues there. And I can tuck it under his arm. The only real issue with the gun is it is a little bit heavy, so you're going to get a little bit of sag on the wrists, but once you paint, or you can put a little bit of super glue on it, and that will stop. But he looks pretty good holding both guns, together in one hand. I haven't tried putting them both together. I'm not going to fiddle with that on camera. I think I mentioned this already, I'm not sure, but the action base connector. And this actually just plugs right into the back here. You just make sure that the tabs line up how they should. You plug that in. And then I'm going to actually stick them up on the action base right now. So let's get the action base 3 with the crossbone currently on it. And let's plug him in. Watch it not match up. Maybe. Close enough? No? Whatever. I think this is the large attachment piece, so I don't think this is going to work. Nope. Not looking like it's going to... Oh, maybe it is. There we go. It's just a snug fit. But once you plug this in, he is ready to go. So set this back a little bit so you can see him. He's ready for action. He looks good in most poses. You can move his wings around. You can open and close them however you see fit, and just kind of play with him until you get a nice looking dynamic pose that you're happy with, and you have your Wing Zero custom grade. So pleasantly surprised by how good this kit is. Like I said a couple of times already, I was not really excited about this when it got announced. Quite disappointed at the announcement, but very pleasantly surprised at how solid and how much fun the kit was, and how well it worked. The things worked. The knees are the only real issue I have, and those are pretty easily overlooked. It doesn't actually cause any problems, and it's not going to hinder me in any way. It's just going to take me like 1 extra second anytime I put it in a pose and I have to fix it, just to pop that knee back down. But besides that, it's a really solid kit. I'd say as far as, besides the heaviness of the wings and everything, it's probably one of the more solid RGs out there. It's a really, really, really solid kit. All the joints are really tight, and everything just kind of works. So I definitely recommend picking this one up if you're a fan of Wing Zero or the Endless Waltz movies. I can't wait to see the other units if they ever get done. They've teased them, so I'm pretty sure we're getting them. It's just a matter of when. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time. Later.